sure as night follows day. Why? And we remember the words of the Baptist. And John says, you, Gerda, and you, Ophrida, and you, Rosalind, and you, Anthony, and you, Orange, and you, Newark, and East Orange, and Bloomfield, and you are a brood of vipers. You see, friends, as long as we insist on pointing the finger and saying, that is evil, there will be no healing. As long as we point the finger of blame, I promise you there will be no healing. It is only when we look inside, it is only when we look into ourselves and we ask a difficult but elemental question. Am I a part of this society? Am I a part of American culture? Do I spend the money? Do I drive on the roads? Do I pay into the system and expect the system to pay me? If you can answer that in any way, shape, or form, then you are making this world in which we live. We are producing this culture. Now, right now, you're probably saying, well, maybe that's true, Pastor, but I'm not such a bad guy. I don't do bad things. I don't even own a gun. I'm not even sure I know how to fire one. I hope I know which end it's supposed to. But yet, we are a part of the culture. We make this culture. And until all of us recognize that we have the blood on our hands, we have the guilt on our hands, and we listen to John the Baptist, and he says, bear fruit worthy of repentance. Stop being a viper. Stop being so snaky. Change what you're doing. Now, the people there said, what should we do? What should we do? Now they seem like obvious kind of snaky people. There's a tax collector, and nobody loved unlike today, of course we all have great respect for tax collectors today, but in those days nobody loved a tax collector. And the tax collector said, what shall we do, John? Well, stop skimming off the top, guy. The taxes are bad enough without you taking your percentage. Don't take any more than is required. And the soldiers said, John, the soldier's life is tough. What should we do? Stop using the fact that you're carrying swords and you've got armor to extort people. Stop falsely accusing. Stop rioting over the wages you get. Tax collectors, change. Soldiers, change. John says to us, we must change. All of us must become something new. All of us must about-face, turn around. John then goes on to talk about the axe. You know, the axe, a tree, thrown into the unquenchable fire. And I just have to take a little theology break here. You know, it's funny because there are so many people who come up to me and they would say, well, there you go. I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, right there it says, God's going to send all the evil people to hell, all the good people to heaven, all the evil people to hell. It says right there, the axe is laid at the... I defy you. I dare you. I double dare you. Show me in that passage one place where it says that God sends people to hell. Well, it says there right there about the axe and the tree. Yes, it says right there about the axe and the tree. Well, Pastor, how dare you try to make a metaphor out of the words of John? Really? Well, anybody here own more than one shirt or more than one blouse? Do you own 2 sets of clothing? Even Pastor owns more than one set of clothing. They're all black, but he owns more than one. And John the Baptist says, the one who has 2, give one up to the one who has none. Oh, well, Pastor, that's just metaphorical. I mean, he wasn't really serious. All that turn the other cheek and that give to the brother and that's just, we really can't. That would be communism. That would be America. We can't do that. Why is that one metaphorical? And the one about the axe and the tree, a clear point. Just a little theology break for you. Just something to think about. Ladies and gentlemen, the axe is laid to the root of the tree. And it's already going in the smoke. It's already going in the smoke. And the victims are the weakest among us. The victims are the ones who have so little to give. Children whose lives have barely begun. The poor who have no defense. You see, unless we recognize, unless we bear fruit worthy of repentance, unless we are willing to accept this, I don't say it easily. I promise you that. I don't think of myself as some evil murderer, at least not most days of the week. But unless I'm willing to look towards Newtown, unless I'm willing to look at Sandy Hook and say, how do I make this work? What part do I have in this? There's no repentance for me. And unless you're willing to look at it, not pointing the finger, that evil young man, that evil woman with the guns in her closet, how do we make this society? And now you have every right, along with the soldiers and the tax collectors, and to say, what then shall we do? I'm not a congressman, I'm not a legislator, I'm not a judge. What can I do? And I would suggest to you 2 things. The first one is the same thing I told the folks at the nursing home. When the service was over, I just told them, you all gotta do one thing. You're sitting here in this nursing home, you think, what can I do? You gotta do one thing. You gotta pray for peace. No, I'm serious, you gotta pray for peace. If you believe, if you have to believe, if you 1/3 believe, if you 1/10 believe, you have to pray for peace because we need that peace which the world cannot and will not give. No, I'm serious. Can you give up 1 hour of television a night and use that time to pray for peace? And I guess that is the segue to the next thing that we can do. You see, I know I was raised a Lutheran. We're not supposed to talk about decision theology, but that went out the window. You see, John talks about repentance. And to me, at least, repentance indicates choice. Choice. You can go this way, you can go this way. The next time you have the opportunity to render evil for evil. Well, how evil is it going to get? Norman, the next time that somebody goes up and says, Norman, you're a no good so-and-so. And your tendency is to say, oh yeah? Well, you're an even worse no good so-and-so. What if you didn't do that? What if you just didn't do that? What if you decided you're going to pray for that person? What if we all changed? Because you see, every time we choose forgiveness, every time we choose love instead of hate, every time we choose a thought of peace rather than a thought violence. We are vindicating the holy innocents. Maybe that's what I'll call those children from Newtown. At least this week, the holy innocents. 2,000 years ago, Herod was worried. Herod was terribly, terribly worried that a new king was coming into town. A king was just a boy, but he was worried. Boys grow into men, and men would become powerful. And Herod loved being king. So the story goes that Herod ordered that all of the young men, the boys, under 3 years of age, be killed. It was prophesied. Rachel, weeping by the sea, because her children are no more. It's nothing new, but every time we choose peace, we vindicate the lives of the holy innocents. Every time we choose peace instead of violence, love instead of hate, we bring about healing to this world. Well, brothers and sisters, we who bear the name of Christ, we are called to be the healers. We are called to cast out the demons of hatred, violence, bigotry. There are simple answers. But we can heal the world. We can heal the world. One thought, one word, one action at a time. With, in, and through Christ. May it be so.